Baby, when I look in your eyes, I can see you as a child. The river gives us every good thing, and then it takes it all away. Don't take me away from you. Don't take me away from you. I feel like I knew you then, when I was a little boy. I spent my days imagining the shape it would all take, and now it takes the shape of you. Everything takes the shape of you. Oh, my source of love and fear, if I could lose them, could you be different? Could I let the river take me? Will you take everything that I have? I'd give it all up to you and him. She watches me close from the stars, and she whispers your name in my heart, and the garden we'll build for ourselves, and the kids that will grow where we plant, and the truth that we'll find when we lose, and the nothing I want without you. Baby, when I look in your eyes, I can see you as a child. The river gives us every good thing, and then it takes it all away. Don't take me away from you. Don't take me away from you. I feel like I knew you then, when I was a little boy. I spent my days imagining the shape it would all take, and now it takes the shape of you. Everything takes the shape of you. fear. If I could lose them, could you be different? Could I let the river take me? Will you take everything that I have? I'd give it all up to you and him. She watches me close from the stars, and she whispers your name in my heart. And the garden we'll build for ourselves, and the kids that will grow where we plant, and the truth that we'll find when we lose, and the nothing I want without you.
I can be stubborn, thinking I'm right. I can be late, cause I'm taking my time. I can be driven, ambitious, your best friend, love of your life. I can be selfish, trying to be kinder, always forgetting, needing reminders. But I'll always be there when you need me. Cause I know that two things can't be true. Cause I get so confident yet confused. So I'll let go to live in between who I am and who I wanna be. Maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress.
You're not understanding. Also, is there anything you'd like to say?
I'm indecisive, I don't know why. My good intentions fail me sometimes, but I don't get angry, you can't faze me. We can talk it out, no we don't need to fight. I can get anxious, but I won't cry. You never know, cause I keep it inside. So I show up strong, maybe to a fault. Cause I know that two things can't be true. Cause I go from bossa to blues. So I'll grow to love in between who I am and who I wanna be. Oh, maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress. With my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress. Nice. I can be stubborn, thinking I'm right. I can be late, cause I'm taking my time. I can be driven, ambitious, your best friend, love of your life. I can be selfish, trying to be kinder, always forgetting, needing reminders. reminders, but I'll always be there when you need me. 'Cause I know that two things can't be true. 'Cause I get so confident yet confused. So I'll let go to live in between who I am and who I wanna be. Maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress.
You're not understanding. Also, is there anything you'd like to say? That's all.
I'm indecisive, I don't know why. My good intentions fail me sometimes, but I don't get angry, can't faze me. We can talk it out, no we don't need to fight. I can get anxious, but I won't cry. You never know, 'cause I keep it inside. So I show up strong, maybe to a fault. 'Cause I know that two things can't be true. 'Cause I go from bossa to blues. So I'll grow to love in between who I am and who I wanna be. Oh, maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress. With my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress. Nice. I can be stubborn, thinking I'm right. I can be late, 'cause I'm taking my time. I can be driven, ambitious, your best friend, love of your life. I can be selfish, trying to be kinder, always forgetting, needing reminders. But I'll always be there when you need me. 'Cause I know that two things can't be true. 'Cause I get so confident yet confused. So I'll let go to live in between who I am and who I wanna be. Maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress.
You're not understanding. Also, is there anything you'd like to say? That's all.
I'm indecisive, I don't know why. My good intentions fail me sometimes, but I don't get angry, can't faze me. We can talk it out, no we don't need to fight. I can get anxious, but I won't cry. You never know, 'cause I keep it inside. So I show up strong, maybe to a fault. 'Cause I know that two things can't be true. 'Cause I go from bossa to blues. So I'll grow to love in between who I in progress. I can be stubborn, thinking I'm right. I can be late, cause I'm taking my time. I can be driven, ambitious, your best friend, love of your life. I can be selfish, trying to be kinder, always forgetting, needing reminders. But I'll always be there when you need me. Cause I know that two things can't be true. Cause I get so confident yet confused. So I'll let go to live in between who I am and who I wanna be. Maybe I'm incomplete and a messed up masterpiece. Know everything and nothing, a childish 20-something with my pros and my cons, my mistakes and my flaws. Don't have it figured out yet. I'm a work of art and a work in progress.
You're not understanding. Also, is there anything you'd like to say? That's all.
I'm indecisive, I don't know why. My good intentions fail me sometimes, but I don't get angry, can't faze me. We can talk it out, no, we don't need to fight.